केंद्र सरकार के प्रिंसिपल साइंटिफिक एडवाइजर का बड़ा बयान सामने आया है। उनका कहना है कि कोरोना की तीसरी लहर को रोका नहीं जा सकता। कोरोना की तीसरी लहर काफी खतरनाक होगी क्योंकि उसमें कोरोना वायरस ज्यादा जल्दी फैलेगा और वह शरीर में अपनी ज्यादा कॉपीज बनाएगा। ये बयान दिया है विजय राघवन ने। विजय राघवन केंद्र सरकार के प्रिंसिपल साइंटिफिक एडवाइजर हैं। तीसरी लहर कब तक आएगी यह कहना मुश्किल है, लेकिन इसकी तैयारियां केंद्र सरकार अभी से कर ले। जिस तरह दूसरी लहर आने पर लोगों को काफी परेशानी का सामना करना पड़ रहा है, दूसरी लहर की बिल्कुल तैयारी नहीं है, वैसा तीसरी लहर के साथ नहीं होना चाहिए क्योंकि वह और भी ज्यादा खतरनाक होगी। कोरोना वायरस की पहली लहर में 1,48,738 लोगों ने अपनी जान गंवा दी और कोरोना वायरस की दूसरी लहर के चलते 77,450 लोग अभी तक अपनी जान गंवा चुके हैं और मृत्यु दर दिन ब दिन बढ़ती जा रही है। यह देखते हुए हमें कोरोना वायरस की लहर के लिए पहले से तैयार रहना होगा। यह कहना है केंद्र सरकार के प्रिंसिपल साइंटिफिक एडवाइजर विजय राघवन का। यह वायरस जितनी बार एक इंसान से दूसरे इंसान में जा रहा है, उतनी बार इसकी बनावट में बदलाव आ रहा है और इसी का नतीजा है कि कोरोना वायरस के नए नए वेरिएंट्स आते जा रहे हैं। कोरोना वायरस के नए स्ट्रेन्स के कारण कोविड-19 वैक्सीन में भी बदलाव लाने की आवश्यकता है, जिससे कि वह कोविड-19 के नए स्ट्रेन से लड़ सकें। विजय राघवन पीएसए केंद्र सरकार ने कहा कि कोविड-19 के तीसरे स्ट्रेन के लिए हमें साइंटिफिकली भी तैयार रहना है और सभी को सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का पूर्ण रूप से पालन करना है, सदैव मास्क लगाकर रहना है, हाथों को अल्कोहल बेस्ड सैनिटाइजर से समय समय पर सैनिटाइज करना है और अनावश्यक वस्तुओं को नहीं छूना है।
Is inevitable given the high levels of circulating virus, but it's not clear on what time scale this phase 3 will occur. Hopefully incrementally, but we should prepare for new variants. Do not alter the message. The variants are transmitted the same way as the original strain. It does not have other properties of new kinds of transmission in the air or anything like that. It just infects humans in a manner which makes it more transmissible because it gains entry, makes more copies and goes out again, the same way as the original one. Second, vaccines are effective against the current variants. Third, new variants will arise all over the world and in India too. While variants which increase transmission will likely plateau, immune evasive variants and those which lower or increase disease severity will arise going ahead. Finally, scientists in India and all over the world are working to anticipate these kinds of variants and act against them rapidly by early warning and developing modified tools. This is an intense research program which is happening in India and abroad. Now let us look at variants and the huge second wave. Many factors contributed to this large wave, and variants are but one factor. Now, why did the first wave decline? Let us understand that first. And why did the second wave start? Why is it so severe? We've heard from Dr. Love Agarwal what we're doing and what we should do about what is happening now. But the first wave declined because of two factors. As infections rose, so did immunity amongst those infected. As cautionary steps at every one of these levels I alluded to earlier, from individual to high level increased, there was less opportunity for infections to spread. A combination of a standing level of immunity in the population and cautionary steps halted this spread of the first wave and caused a decline. Unless new opportunities arise, this would have been the situation. New opportunities came about all over the world and in India too. If cautionary steps decline, new opportunities for spread arise. What happens if we drop our guard? The level of caution drops, but also so does the standing level of immunity is often not enough to stop infection spreading. Many people get infected until we reach a new immunity threshold. Such a second wave is typically smaller than the first. Such a second wave was expected. However, multiple parameters can change in small amounts and add up to a second wave much larger than the first. Each parameter may seem a small change, but together, because the rise is exponential, this adds up enormously. Such a much larger second wave with the ferocity we are seeing was not predicted. But what contributes to a large second wave? What were the opportunities open to the virus? After a first wave, immunity can keep new infections low. However, immunity may not have been widespread, and the fraction uninfected, due to cautionary steps they have taken in the first wave, may have been large. Immunity can also fade. Someone who has recovered could be reinfected, but we know that after 8 months of being infected, protection is still very high, it's about 80%. But could that 20% be sufficient to cause immune evasion of significance? So the combination of less caution, less immunity in a population from the first wave, and the consequent opening up of access to the virus drives a large second wave. In other words, as long as variants are not immune evasive substantially, their being more transmissible is important, but that alone will not cause a big surge unless cautionary steps decline and a large population is available for infection. What role do the variants play in the size of the second wave? Let us look at that. And to do that, we have to see how SARS coronavirus 2 was successful so quickly. This virus emerged in late 2019 in Wuhan, and at that time it was a virus which we could call a generalist. It could infect many mammal species, minks, cats, dogs, etc. And it indicates that it's not specifically a tightly human-adapted virus. Now, this didn't change much in all of 2020, and all the evolutionary signals show evidence for this lineage to continue in the same way. The first 11 months of the SARS coronavirus 2 evolution had a relatively very low accumulation, slow accumulation of mutations, about 2 mutations per month in global lineages. Generally, not much of what is called adaptive evolution was detected, with one exception, which we can go through later if needed. Now, the second